Hey everyone. Anyways, today is, well, pretty much a very simple day, but good news is that I'll be looking forward to my first day of work down the road here, and I'll be excited to be working it, a new job, a new perspective, with opportunities to learn on several different types of jobs that they have in the same event areas. Uh, and of course, opportunities at getting greater pay and all that. It's always my new job, my new workplace, or my new company that I'm working for is looking like they're going to be able to give me a lot of what I've actually looked for job-wise for a long. It's one of those things. A lot of us end up in what was referred to as a dead-end job. But what classifies a dead-end job? Maybe not enough opportunities, or maybe not enough pay raise, or you end up pretty much in the same routine all the time. So I'm actually looking forward to the fact that, to me, a dead-end job is when you, despite having worked for the company for maybe years and years, you're not given any opportunity to train for other positions, to learn other positions. You're not given real opportunity at real pay raises, not these dinky little pay raises. Um, for those of you who might know, for those who don't know, I worked up until this past September. I worked for Target for 9 years. Not even joking, people. 9 years, 9 holiday seasons. Basically, everything I seen 9 times. And don't get me wrong, it wasn't all bad. I mean, I had great team members to work with. The store I ended up in was one of the better stores in the county area I work in, because a lot of the team members are more upbeat, have more humor about things, more positivity, they really did have a better perspective than some of the other targets I'd seen. And this goes to even no matter who we ended up with store manager wise or anything like that. Um, so basically, our supervisors, our managers, our bosses, our first level kind of bosses that we deal with. Um, we had in 9 years, I had seen and dealt with so many of them, and I can tell you firsthand, it's always tragic when you lose a really great supervisor. I'd had quite a few of them, quite a few great supervisors, some a lot better than others, and some provided more entertainment than others at times. But I can tell you that you have good supervisors who you can work with. They're wonderful to work with and everything. There's nothing really wrong dealing with them. But then you have those great supervisors, those premium supervisors. You know you're not going to get these people very often. So you treasure having them around and you mourn when they're gone. So, and I did have that happen on several occasions. I will say that that my store managers I had at the end of my time working for Target and everything, they were good, don't get me wrong, but I had seen better. I had seen greater than them before. So having good ones was nice. I benefited because I have heard about sister stores where and these are from Target team members' mouths that I got to talk to at times outside of our work areas. I've heard about them having horrible supervisors who don't listen, who are always causing scheduling problems. Supervisors who bring down the morale of the store itself instead of trying to at least protect those who are trying to raise it. That was one of the nice things about where I worked is if my main supervisors, if the store managers didn't see, but just even one of us brought up that the morale in our area seemed to be a little down, they did take it a little more serious and start looking at it with more open eyes on that. And that's how the morale in our store usually was able to keep up so well and everything, is that those of us who spoke up gave our sections, our areas, and the store overall a better opportunity. Now, I will say, last year and a half, I definitely wasn't the best employee when it came to attendance. Fortunately, my health was suffering pretty badly at the time, and this even included my lower back. In fact, these were the reasons why I actually quit working for Target, why I put in my 2 weeks notice for Target, was because my back was getting worse with every shift. I was in pain more days of the week than not. I wasn't getting enough exercise. I wasn't getting enough movement. And, well, that was one of the reasons why my back was hurting so much, was not enough movement. I have to be able to move without increasing the amount of things I'm always lifting. As long as I'm not lifting more than so much, so often type deal, I'm okay. But, yeah, and, but my stress levels were pretty high from going to school and working, and not getting enough exercise, and having to mentally rack my brain over things at times. However, I was stuck despite having such despite having such great coworkers, great team members to work with. I was stuck in a dead-end job. I had really I had no opportunities at really progressing the way I would have wanted to. Any opportunity that they had tried to give me in the past was stopped from those further up the ladder type deal. We weren't being given training hours to get me trained in other departments, in any other department really. They weren't being given anything to work with, and it was preventing me from doing anything more, from learning anything greater, from being anything greater. And as the years went on, this unfortunately did wear down on my morale itself, to the point that despite keeping up morale with others, despite trying to make sure that other team members were good and everything, it did wear on my morale to the point where my performance started to slip a little. Now, I will say I've always been quite the stickler. When I'm being paid to work, I actually do the job I'm paid for. But when you work so many years and you see now and then people who hardly have done anything near what you've already done and accomplished, and yet they're already being transferred into different departments, better pay, better raises. They're already getting a lot more than you ever have, despite the fact you have actually pushed yourself to your limits for that work, for that job. And, it wears on your performance at times. And that performance, as the years go on, they get stricter on what they call you out on. It just gets worse and worse, and it whittles away at what kind of pay raise I could get every year. And I will say my pay raise was never actually anywhere near what I was worth. I know what I was worth. Job-wise, I knew that I was always worth at least twice what I was already being paid. But that's because my work ethics were always a bit of a stickler situation for me. I had to be good with the guests. I had to keep the area I was working in as neat as I could. On extremely busy days, I would let some things slide, but everyone was letting those slide. I wasn't the only person doing it, and yet I still was one of the only people who took the time to still be a stickler about certain little things. It got to the point that just about any one of my front lane supervisors, my guest service team leaders and guest service assistant or guest service associates, any of those people who would close up the drawers at the night and everything, any one of them could tell you if I've been the last one on the drawer, or if I've been one of the few people on that drawer that day, because I always had this certain way of organizing certain things underneath the drawer. And they highly did appreciate it, because it always did help at the end of the night when they didn't have to sort those things out themselves. Maybe they had to sort through little piles themselves, but they didn't have to sort everything in the piles themselves. You already had cash to one side and checks and rebates and things like that to the other. That these things were already separated, not mushed all together underneath the register like so many people did. And so it was to the point that they could tell if I had been on a register, because I was one of the only cashiers who ever did that. Of course, I'd also done brand attendant, which was mostly janitorial situation. Provided a lot, and I do mean a lot of things to do, but I really did like and enjoy doing the janitorial stuff. I had also been trained as a card attendant, and I will tell you, during holiday season, I had to watch it. For whatever reason, more guests than, for whatever reason, really, I was the one card attendant that guests seemed to want to run over more than any of the others. And I don't know if that's because I was just smaller than all the other card attendants. The store I worked at I had officially became the first female they had ever fully trained to do carts at that store. I wasn't the only female who had ever done carts. I wasn't the only female who had ever actually knew how to do cart attendant duty. I was the first one that they ever actually trained to do it, though. And I was as much a stickler about my job in that as I was in everything else. But I know overall I wasn't always the most perfect employee, but I did hold myself in the regards of you have to be strict with what you do. You have to be careful about how you perceive yourself and what you give off. I made mistakes. Who hasn't? Who doesn't? But my mistakes total usually weren't anywhere near as bad as most other people's. On rare occasions, they were bad. I had a few mistakes that honestly I could have been fired for if it hadn't been for other circumstances that were going around at the same time and that it became apparent I wasn't the only one with this problem. So there were some mistakes I could have been fired over. Bigger reason they never did, though, is because they know that if you talk to me, I would correct the mistake and it wouldn't happen again. And a lot of mistakes never did ever happen again. I mean, it's a one-time occurrence with me type deal, and improvement would show, and not only improvement would show with me, but it would show in the manner that the store actually did progress in a lot of ways that it otherwise wouldn't have. So, I will say I did have a wonderful time working with with team members that I did, but I'd seen a lot of team members. I'd seen hundreds of team members come and go over my years with Target. And I will say that the corporation at the top better start learning to appreciate those of us those of us who had been working on the bottom, because when they lose an employee like me because our health is down the drain and things like that, it's going to be a lot harder to replace us. It's always been hard to replace incredible employees. It's always been hard for them to replace incredible team members. There have been team members we only ever get this level once in the entire time we work there, and we could work there a decade and still never see another like them. And yet, you know, everyone has their things. I had seen so many things about work, and I can tell so many stories at this point. Some of them incredibly funny, some of them people would be amazed actually happened. And I think I will post I think I will post a couple of videos over time about stories about work and everything. Not just the work I'm about to start doing here soon, new job type deal. I'll probably post some funny stories that happened there. Of course, nothing revealing of personal information, but definitely funny stories. But yeah, for now, it's one of those things. I will end this video with a particular with one of my more favorite stories that happen at my work. It's not really a funny story. Well, I guess you could get a laugh out of it if you think it's funny. But one day I was working at the register. It was earlier in the day, very, very quiet for the store for the most part. Not one of our quieter days that day. And all of a sudden, I start hearing this person sing. I start hearing opera singing. And no joke, everyone at the register area, guest included, stopped for a brief moment looking around trying to find out who was singing. Turns out there's this one man was singing opera going out the doors, and he was actually really good. Well, he was good enough to know that he had had training, that he'd been doing this for a while, was most likely some sort of professional or something. And, well, basically for the next hour and a half, I had guests who would come into my line, and we get talking about that, and it's like, really? That was happening up here? I could hear it all the way back in Girls, and things like that. It's like, man, you could hear it 1/4 of the way down the store. That's how much projection this guy had. But, really, it was one of those experiences where it was very pleasant to get it. It was a surprise of pleasantness brought on by a guest who I don't even know why he did it. I hope he does it more than just I hope he does this on a regular basis, because it's honestly a very, very special treat for most people. And I will say I really did enjoy it myself, and I really did love it myself. So um, it was definitely an experience for the books. Well, anyways, thank you for anyone who has been watching my videos. I've noticed quite a few of my videos don't have any views. I'm not too concerned or worried about that because I just kind of do these as a way to, sort thoughts out, I guess you could say. With someone who lives the life the way I have lived my life, things do happen. Often it's, unusual circumstances, weird, or you don't even realize this person who seems to be boring for the most part, and in a lot of cases actually has done more than just be boring in her life. So basically, as I said, unusual things for common people. It happens every day. Anyways, thank you for watching the video, and I hope you all have a wonderful day. Yeah, be safe.